I did. His speech was entertaining. And I know you actually did enjoy it because I heard you all laughing, and I saw many of you nodding along. You were invested in what he was saying and the stories he was telling. He seemed personable. He had good facial expressions, he had some gestures, he had movement going on, and he kind of reminded me of someone. Let's see if you think so too. Garrison Keillor. I think he had lots of mannerisms, used a lot of the language, used the similar approach to the story that Garrison Keillor used. Now, I really enjoyed his bait and switch, talking about a day at the beach, starting out with stories about the beach, about the ocean, and then ending up at Daytona Beach. Something that Don might have done a little bit better is that he spent a lot of his speech moving from one side of the stage to the other, and it was never particularly aimless, but he did it quite a bit. His speech might have been a little bit stronger if he actually moved to one side and then paused for a little bit before moving on to the other side. So it was more, I'm going to tell you something now from this place, rather than I'm telling you a story. Come along with me. This is a fun journey. He was also noticeably looser when he was telling stories. I first noticed this when he was talking about the sign about the parking at the beach, and he started speaking a little bit faster and using a bit more looser gestures. In his introduction, he was very measured, very slow of pace. His gestures were a lot of this. But then when he started getting into the aspects of the story he enjoyed more, you could tell he was telling us more about his experiences rather than simply presenting them to us. His organization might have used a little bit of tweaking as well. For all that his focus was on Daytona Beach, he spent a lot of time on the introduction and not so much time on individual stories at the beach, with the exception of the surf fishing and Daytona. I think maybe the introduction could have been a little bit less and a little bit more on Daytona. But I really enjoyed his portion of Daytona. You could tell with the words he used, like, that noise is where my adrenaline comes from. And when that green flag drops, you could tell this is something that is important to him. And you could also tell that from his gestures. He spent most of his time doing gestures like this, but talking about Daytona, he did an intimate gesture, touching his face. We could tell that it was meaningful for him. All in all, it was an interesting journey, all the way from one beach